In the global effort to fight climate change, Scotland has committed to becoming a net zero society by 2045, achieving a balance between the amount of greenhouse gases put into and removed from the atmosphere. These are the most ambitious targets of any country in the world. We're working with the University of Stirling to build their state-of-the-art environmental monitoring system designed to help support their digital-led green recovery program. Known as Fourth Era, using IoT sensors, satellite data and artificial intelligence, the program will provide vital information on water quality and quantity to inform decisions that could provide major economic regeneration and sustainability benefits to the region. Fourth Era sets a new global standard for green recovery, one that can be easily scaled and replicated throughout Scotland, the UK, and the rest of the world for years to come, leading the way to a more sustainable future. The monitoring system that's been developed gives researchers in Scotland a living laboratory, providing real-time access to environmental data and analytics for the region, facilitating world-leading scientific research, promoting further improvements in environmental management. It's the first of its kind, helping businesses in the region make intelligent, data-driven decisions to adopt more sustainable practices. And it's all made possible through our connectivity solutions, which includes EE's #1 5G network. The technology being developed through Fourth Era can be applied across multiple sectors, from agriculture and fisheries and food and drink, to shipping and navigation, local and national governance, and public health. Bringing science, regulation, and business together, Fourth Era will demonstrate a better, more sustainable way to interact with and look after the world around us. We'll be able to understand how the environment is changing, predict future patterns, and identify potential climate-related risks before they become long-term threats. By continuing to innovate, collaborate, and realize the possibilities that new technologies can bring, we aim to inspire global action, making a net zero future a reality.
So, joining us now are Professor of Environmental Science at the University of Stirling, Andrew Tyler. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, David. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us, and also Scotland Director for BT, Alan Leese. Hello, Alan.
Morning, David.
Morning. So, Andrew, I'll come to you first of all. I saw you starring in that film, pointing at the screen very, very intently there. It's a fascinating journey that you've been on so far with Fourth Era. Tell me how it began.
Well, the journey started about 6 years ago. Whilst I was head of a rapidly growing and successful Department of Biological and Environmental Sciences, and very much aware of the emerging climate challenge and the need to really rethink actually how we deliver research and innovation to bring together actually communities with industry and policy and regulation to unpack those challenges that we have with the climate crisis that we now have, so that we can identify the appropriate solutions that work across those different sectors sustainably and to mitigate the effects of climate change, but also importantly, also see the environment as an enabler for economic growth and prosperity. But to deliver on all that, we have to really bring the data and the intelligence from the environment in new ways to support decision making. So bringing the environment to the heart of decision making. So we tested these ideas across a number of organisations in Scotland and with senior cabinet ministers in UK government and Scottish government, and that resulted in investment through the Stirling and Clare City Bill in a new centre. It's called Scotland's International Environment Centre, which is really to drive research and innovation, deliver a new platform to work across these sectors in the environment. Now, in this sort of post-COVID period that we're now entering into, we can't really justify new buildings. And what we're doing is focusing on the development of a new platform to support that green recovery. And as we showed you in the video, water is very much at the heart of how we're feeling climate change through extreme events, flooding and drought, but also at the heart of how we drive those new innovations, that opportunities in the circular economy in particular, and also how we drive forward on net zero at the full catchment scale. And that's critical. And that's what fourth era, the fourth environmental resilience array, is going to be providing with a whole range of partners across Scotland and beyond.
And as we saw in the film there's a wealth of technologies that you're employing, satellite data, AI, various IoT, 5G as well in there. How do all of these come together then to create this platform, this array that you speak of, ultimately to drive these changes?
So what we're doing is actually building on our world-leading capability in using satellites, European Space Agency satellites, for monitoring our planet. We've been pioneering in the use of these platforms for monitoring water, both in water quality, but also bringing in the capability of water quantity as well. So that gives us a real continuum of understanding, spatial continuum across the landscape. But water's dynamic, and we need to bring in sensors as well to both validate the satellite data, but also fill in the gaps that we have, those temporal gaps in understanding how the water is changing in terms of quality and quantity, bringing in new measures that we can't get from space in terms of dissolved oxygen or nutrient concentrations or water flow, for example. But then we have to ask the question, well, what's happening between the sensors or between satellite overpasses? And this is where we're bringing in that sort of AI deep learning capability so that we can do that nowcasting capability to understand what's happening or predict what's happening between sensors and satellites, and then process-based modeling in particular, so that we can think about what-if type scenarios. Well, what if we don't do anything? And what are the key implications of climate change? Or what are the implications of different types of mitigation measures in particular? Critical here has been our partnership with British Telecom right from the start. BT's enabled us to bring that digital revolution together with the green recovery, so that we can now think beyond the sort of standard IoT type capability and really exploit 5G in capturing data from sensors that we perhaps haven't been able to in the past. That's also led to a new innovation centre, a 5G innovation centre in environmental sensing, which is alongside Scotland's International Environment Centre.
Sure.
But also process that data through high-performance computing and push it back out there to a whole range of stakeholders so they can bring that knowledge in real time or very near real time to understand how the environment's changing or what the implications are of the decisions that they're having in the environment. So we can drive those efficiencies in industry, mitigate how they're using the environment in particular or discharging back to that environment.
I find this fascinating, and clearly you're getting a lot of data there, able to create these actionable insights, use AI and deep learning to fill in some of the gaps there as well. Very quickly, Andrew, what difference are you already starting to see this making to the communities in Scotland, to organisations that are working there?
So we are seeing this resonating really strongly across the statutory agencies, across industry, and across community action groups as well. So bringing that data will help them make better, more informed decisions, help change behaviour as much as anything else, so that we can actually use this intelligence to sort of co-develop those solutions, to maximise the benefit. There's a real willingness to deliver on net zero, and that requires also investments in the catchment, for example, so we can use this platform to orchestrate all that effort, drive efficiencies, and maximise that benefit, and to deliver the solutions at pace and at scale.
Super stuff. Thank you very much indeed for now, Andrew. You may have spotted that we set our next poll live just a few moments ago. We want to know if you could use tech to positively change one thing within your organisation, which area would you like to see that change? Let us know. We'll come back to that in a few moments' time. Alan, I'll come to you now. As we saw in the video, the technology there, there's a lot of different technologies, and clearly it's beginning to make a real difference as Scotland reaches for its net zero target. But how do you see that technology being scalable and applicable to other areas, to other businesses, other causes?
Yes, thanks, David. So ultimately, the technology that Andrew's spoken about is effectively what we call our digital fabric, which is effectively the deployment of fixed and mobile networks across the whole of Scotland, both through fibre delivery and then 5G enablement. But the project that Andrew works on also encompasses things like data exchange, artificial intelligence, and also the integration of the third-party applications that he mentioned before that monitor the kind of water quality. The fabric is the basis of gathering and interrogating huge amounts of real-time data which scientists like Andrew make critical decisions on, which in his case obviously is around water. But we also want to take it beyond just natural resources. Any organisation that relies on large amounts of data gathering from people or machines can use artificial intelligence, data virtualisation to really drive sustainability and growth.
Businesses are under a lot of pressure to meet their sustainability targets at the moment. That's something we're hearing more and more of. So talk to me about how this technology is helping businesses to do that. And also, what other benefits, maybe alongside the environmental benefits, do you see there being?
Yeah, so obviously an example here, the intelligence of water and ultimately soil and air will help organisations to make clear data-led decisions. But we actually want to take the technology beyond that into more immersive type experiences as well. We've launched an immersive classroom in Cumbernauld in partnership with North Lanarkshire Council. And what that really allows is primary school children to experience things they may never get the opportunity to do. We've taken them to the Great Barrier Reef, the Great Wall of China, and let them experience what it was like to be a soldier in the First World War, if you like. These types of experiences are things that they can do pretty much without leaving their own town. And if you can imagine during the COVID experience where we're reducing travel and obviously the carbon effect that has too, it's a fantastic opportunity for people and young children not to miss out on anything through these kind of challenges.
Fascinating vision that we're painting here. I've got a couple of quick-fire questions, Alan. I'm going to come to you in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to come back to the poll that we were asking you about just a moment ago. And we were saying that if you could use tech to positively change one area in your organisation, what area would that be? So let us take a look at what the poll responses were. Tech could positively change. It could help us to become more efficient in how we work. Right at there's a third of you, 156 people voted. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. And also to improve our customers' experiences, that new battleground. We'll cover that later on. Alan, I'll come back to you. Couple of quick-fire questions. Using technology, for these kind of benefits, how are you seeing this technology to enable businesses do that? And in terms of making those first steps and continuing on that journey, how do you see organisations able to do that? What sort of questions should they be asking?
Well, the first step's obvious. Come and talk to BT, right? So we really are the industry experts and the glue that can really pull all this together, yeah? Pick a partner who wants to work with you strategically and shares the same ambition that you have for your own organisation. And certainly don't discount the value of the network that you use to carry all this data and make sure that it's real time. All networks aren't the same, no matter what everyone says.
Super stuff. Listen, Alan, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Andrew will be joining us for our live Q&A, so do let us know your burning questions in the Q&A area, and we'll chat with Andrew later on. But for now, Alan, it's been lovely chatting with you.
Thank you.
Now, we've seen how the University of Stirling is using tech to improve sustainability and how businesses can implement new technology to drive positive change. Now let's take a look at how one agri-tech innovator is using the latest tech to help future-proof farming. Here's a clip where Steph McGovern meets IGS.
We're talking about how technology can help an industry as old as farming to transform and evolve. So we're going to go over to our correspondent, Arlene Stewart, who's speaking to David Farquhar, CEO of Intelligent Growth Solutions. Hi, Arlene.
Hi, Steph. Yes, I'm here just outside Dundee at IGS. David, what is it you do here?
We make the weather, we make climates, we create the ideal conditions to grow food. Think about it like cutting a field up, putting it into trays, we stack them 9 meters high, we control them through our mobile phone, and we grow food on them. We can grow 15 times more food here per square metre than you can in the best greenhouse, and at the same time we would use 1/20th of the amount of water you would in a greenhouse. So we can reduce waste as well, we can collapse the food miles, and we have 0 emissions.
I know vertical farming isn't new, so what are you doing differently?
We're tackling some of the really big problems when we're powering hundreds of thousands of LEDs, we're ventilating hundreds of thousands of plants, and we're taking the labour out, which is what makes it economically viable. We need to feed ourselves. The world population is estimated to get to about 10 billion by 2050. And through climate change, mainly caused by agriculture, we're making it harder and harder to grow our food. So our job is to build the best technology in the world, supply it to farmers all around the world, so that they can grow the crops they really need for the local diets everywhere.
So vertical farms are much more high-tech than you'd imagine traditional farms to be. So to find out more about how it works, we're going to talk to Lawrence Ross, who's Chief Product Officer at IGS. Hi, Lawrence.
Hi, Steph.
Hiya. Can you tell me more about how this technology works then?
Yeah, Steph. At IGS, we use artificial intelligence to help us determine how to grow plants in our growth towers. We use machine learning to help us make iterative adjustments to the growing cycle. It's all monitored through a simple web-based app. The whole system is Internet of Things enabled to help us use automation to control the system and to manage it remotely. For us, the kind of sensors we use are about controlling the climate. This is things like temperature, humidity, lighting, gas composition, pH levels, nutrient levels, all the things that crops need to grow.
You must be collecting so much data, Lawrence. Where's it all going?
We send the data to the cloud from devices called programmable logic controllers. This helps us remove all the IT layers in the farm. These IT layers can often cause downtime, and they also help us keep the cost lower.
You must be relying on a strong internet connection then, I guess.
The internet connection is critical in our business.
So tell me what happens then, Lawrence, in worst case scenario. You lose that connection.
Well, with 5G, this should never happen. The redundancy and backup that exists in 5G almost guarantee connectivity.
The world is going digital. If you can digitize something tens of thousands of years old like agriculture, you can digitize any industry on the planet.